What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. We are going over our first build of this season with a Strand Berserker Titan build that is absolutely gnarly in my opinion, utilizing one of our Strand verbs that I think is easily the best Strand verb for the PvE realm with Suspend. Now, I have been grinding out my Titans since they are my main character that I play, almost 1800 base power, and after going through that legendary campaign, was able to grab the new exotic boots, Abeyant Leap. Now, these things improve a lot with our Suspend and Strand Super, so we're going to go over our abilities, aspects, and fragments, as well as our weapons and armor mods to really bring home this build. So starting off with our abilities, aspects, and fragments, here we have our Blade Fury, so we can turn into that Excadrill with the Strand swords on our arms, being able to suspend enemies with our uppercut or our heavy attack while doing some pretty gnarly damage with our light blows. Now for me, I'm using Towering, Barricade, Strafe Lift, and our Frenzy Blade right here, as well as important for this build, we're using the Shackle Grenade that you can buy at the pond in the Hall of Heroes there on Pneumonia. Now this Shackle Grenade right here, it throws a weighted strand of matter that detonates on impacts into 3 little strand balls. These suspend targets, creating additional sub-projectiles. This thing is going to be super important, like I said, for that Suspend. One, it stuns Unstoppables, and this thing is absolutely gnarly for dealing with those more tanky enemies by being able to suspend them consistently. Most of the time, you don't even gotta deal with champions putting up their shield because of this build being able to continuously make them suspended. Now for our 2 aspects that we have for our Titan, first we have Into the Fray, so destroying a tangle or casting your super grants Woven Mail for nearby allies. This Woven Mail, while it's active, your melee regenerates faster, and Woven Mail is it covers your body in a protective mesh of strand that lowers incoming non-precision damage, so it helps keep you alive. Now on top of that, we have Dregger's Lash. This is when we activate our class ability, allowing us to throw out strand from our shield, suspending targets and damaging targets on the hits. So this is also important for this build because we're going to be able to cast our shield very, very often, allowing us to suspend more targets, especially since it pairs with our new exotic boots. Now, when we move on over to our fragments here, first off, we're going to have Thread of Mind. So defeating those suspended targets grants us class abilities, allowing us to pop our barricade more, suspend more targets, get back our class abilities, that perpetual ability feedback. Now next we have Thread of Continuity right here. So our Suspend, Unravel, and Sever, they apply increased duration. So having that Suspend is going to last longer, as well as our melee does create Sever, so that'll also last longer because of this continuity. Third on our list, we have Thread of Rebirth. So Strand Weapon Final Blows have chances of creating those threadlings, and they are little woven creatures that track nearby enemies and do a little bit of damage. So this helps us with our ad management. And last but not least, we have Thread of Generation. So dealing damage generates grenade energy, which allows us to get back our Shackled Grenade super, super fast, because you will notice that this does help a lot with this build. So starting off right here with our weapons, we're going to be using the Quicksilver Storm. Now, I know not everybody will have this, so you can substitute it for something else in our kinetic slot that is also a strand burn, like Auto Rifle or SMG from this season. This is just helping us create those threadlings, as well as some of our armor mods deal with strand and void weapons, so that is why we are using Quicksilver Storm with this build. On top of that, we got the Null Composure, and old seasonal pinnacle weapon for us with Feeding Frenzy Reservoir Burst. Since I did pick out volatile rounds on my artifact mod, having that with this is a great backup to Quicksilver Storm, allowing us to have that add clear potential with Reservoir Burst plus volatility, and we can do that extra little bit of damage with this fusion rifle. And then we're using a new seasonal weapon in Circular Logic that is also a strand burn with the perk Hatching on on it. So precision final blows or rapidly defeating targets with non-precision final blows spawns threadlings at the target's location. So this again is helping us create those threadlings for that ad management and doing a little extra damage. Now, I do want to go over this really quick before we get into the armor pieces and mods for this build with some artifact mods that help very, very well with our Titan and Strand in general. First off, in this final column is Threaded Blast, so destroying those tangles with Strand Weapon, so in our case our LMG or Quicksilver Storm, creates a larger, more damaging explosion, so this will help with that ad management. And second on this list is Multi-Siphon mods, so this grants armor mods in our helmet slot that combine the effects of Strand Siphon with Solar and Void mods, so we're able to get Orbs of Power to drop via our Strand and Void weapons, hence why we're using the weapons we're using. So starting off right here with our mods on our helmet, part of that is from that artifact right there with Void and Strand Dual Siphon. Getting rapid defeats with either our Void or our Strand weapon creates Orbs of Power, and we're stacking it to have increased potency on those Orbs of Power. We're also going to be using Ashes to Access, so we do gain super energy. Since our intellect is only at 36, we're going to gain that on grenade defeats when we're throwing that Shackling grenade to suspend targets. Next off, moving on to our arms right here, we're going to have 3 stacks of grenade kickstarter. So when our grenade energy is fully expended, we gain grenade energy. Additionally, our armor charge is consumed and you gain additional grenade energy for each stack. Now that armor charge we're going to be able to get by picking up those Orbs of Power that we are creating via our weapon defeats, whether it is that Strand or Void weapon. So having 3 of these gives us back about 50%, 60% of our grenade easily just on throwing it out after it's fully expended. So it's a very, very good amount of energy that we get back when we do have the full stack of armor charge. Now moving on to the chest right here, we're going to have harmonic resistance, so Strand enemies that are attacking us won't do as much damage. Now importantly, we're going to have 2 sets of charged up on here, so we're able to carry that armor charge by 1. It increases that maximum amount. So with this build, we're going to be able to have 4 of those charges, which again, with that grenade kickstarter, allows us to get back about 60% of our grenade energy just by throwing it out there. So both of these charged up is super important for the armor charge and grenade kickstarter for that shackled grenade and continuously having that suspend. Now moving on to the absolutely gnarly boots right here for the Titan, the Abeyant Leap. So this has the Puppeteer's control, so that Dredger's Lash spawns 2 additional projectiles, tracks targets more aggressively, and travels further. So you also gain that Woven Mail when targets are suspended. So this right here allows us to suspend more targets by casting our barricade with a tripled projectile of that strand that tracks enemies. So this is super, super nice. We get that Woven Mail, which we take less damage, as well as we get additional melee regen with that Woven Mail active. As for our mods, we have on Orb of Restoration. So when we pick up Orb of Power, we gain small amount of energy for our ability with the least energy, as well as Innervation. So when we pick up Orbs of Power, we're also getting grenade energy. Now on top of that, we have stacks on stacks. So when we pick up those Orbs of Power, we gain an additional charge for that armor charge, which we're using for our grenade kickstarter to continuously suspend enemies. And last but certainly not least, we have 3 bombers. So when we cast our barricade, it reduces our grenade cooldown, so it comes back super, super fast, like I said, with 3 bombers as well as 3 grenade kickstarters, with the ability to create so many Orbs of Power via our guns alone, and then being able to stack that armor charge, cast our barricade to suspend enemies, throw out our grenade to do the same thing, and it's just a nice perpetual motion of being able to get our strand abilities back super, super fast by getting all of those defeats with the Tangle and our Strand and Void weapons. So it is a very, very useful build right now for the Titan. Not sure if I'm going to change it up much in the future, but as for now, this thing is my favorite build that I have been using pretty consistently on a Titan. As I said, went through my main already with this, almost 1800 base, so definitely a very viable build for Strand, and we have so many more to go over this season with a bunch of new exotics and just the synergy in general of Void and Solar this season, and Strand especially, since it is the new subclass. So thank you guys so much for the support. Hopefully y'all enjoy this build and y'all can go out there and suspend everything in your paths. Truly appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.